Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Iblis has tried approaching the prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and one such story is reported by Imam Suyuti in Luqtul Marjan fi Ahkam al-Jan, Hadith 566. And it is also reported by Ibn Abi Dunya in Makaid al-Shaitan that Fudayl ibn Ayad rahimahullah says that his teacher told him that one day Musa alayhi salam was busy worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and at that time shaitan showed up and he wanted to distract Musa alayhi salam. So angel came forward and stopped shaitan and said, "What is it that you want from Musa alayhi salam?" And he said, "I want to deceive him like I deceived Adam alayhi salam." So this story is mentioned in Luqtul Marjan fi Ahkam al-Jan. That means that shaitan is constantly looking for ways to deceive the human beings so that they may do something that will make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upset with them. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made special arrangements for the prophets that they are constantly protected from the shaitan. So that's why prophets are innocents. So now let's get to the main story of today's lecture. Story of a prophet that Iblis tried his level best to make him mad or angry but failed miserably. This is the time of one of the prophets of children of Israel by the name of yas'a, who's also mentioned in the Quran. For example, in Surah Al-An'am, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in ayah number 86, وَإِسْمَاعِيلَ وَالْيَسَعَ وَيُونُسَ وَلُوطًا وَكُلًّا فَضَّلْنَا عَلَى الْعَالَمِينَ. And Ismail and Al-Yas'a and Yunus and Lut, and each one of them we preferred to the mankind and jinns of their times. Similarly, in another surah of the Quran, which is Surah Saad, which is the 38th surah, in ayah number 48, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَاذْكُرْ إِسْمَاعِيلَ وَالْيَسَعَ وَذَا And remember Ismail, Al-Yas'a and zulkifl. So, this is the Prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Al-Yas'a alayhi salam, that when he was extremely old, he wanted somebody to take charge after him. So famous tabi'i Imam Mujahid rahimahullah says that when Al-Yas'a alayhi salam was very old, he wanted somebody to come in the position of becoming the Khalifa after him. So one day he gathered all the children of Israel and made an announcement that the person who will be Khalifa after me must possess these three qualities. Number one, must fast every day. Number two, must pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala every night when people are sleeping. And thirdly, will never get mad. After hearing these three conditions, nobody dared to stand up because these were difficult conditions to fulfill except for one young man who stood forward. Al-Yas'a alayhi salam did not accepted him. Rather, next day he made the similar announcement. Next day also the same gentleman stood up and everybody stayed sitting. So this time Al-Yas'a alayhi salam asked this young man to come forward and take an oath that he will fulfill all three of these conditions. And Al-Yas'a alayhi salam made this particular gentleman, individual, young man, his Khalifa. Shaitan was looking at all of these things and he couldn't control himself. And he decided that he will make this young man not fulfill at least one of the three conditions. So he, that is Iblis, gathered all of his offsprings and followers and said, "I want you to think about how we can deceive this gentleman who is fasting all day, worships Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala every night and never gets mad." So now the think tank of Iblis is going. So different shayateen in different categories, they said, "We will try our level best to deceive him." So they all went and tried their ways of deceiving, but came back unsuccessful. Shaitan was like, "Come on, you guys are of no good." They said, "Well, what can we do? This person fasts all day long, and whenever we try to do anything, because he's fasting, he refrains from breaking those laws that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has imposed in fasting. And those are some of the laws that we use to deceive people. Then at night time, we try to level best. But again, because this person is so steadfast and his faith is so strong, we became unsuccessful. And we tried our level best to make him mad, but we were so unsuccessful. Iblis said, you guys are of no good, and I, who is the best of all of you, will now show you with example how things are done. This Khalifa of yas'a alayhi salam, since he was worshipping most of the night and was fasting every day, would take a few hours nap during the daytime. So shaitan said this would be the best time to bother him and not let him sleep. Eventually, he will lose his temperament and will be breaking the pact that he made with yas'a alayhi salam. So one day what Iblis did, he took a form of an old man, an old poor man, and he went to the house of this Khalifa of yas'a alayhi salam and started knocking on his door. And Khalifa at this time used to sleep and everybody knew about it, so nobody would bother him. So Khalifa, because somebody was knocking on the door, he woke up, he opened the door, and Iblis came forward as an old man, and somebody was so unjust to him that he could not held himself till the next day to bring forth his case. So he came and he started crying. So this Khalifa of yas'a alayhi salam said, okay, what is it that you want to talk about? He said, you have no idea what have been done to me, what kind of injustice have been served to me. And he started telling a very, very long story that lasted an hour or so. And when Iblis realized that the nap time of this Khalifa is over, he said, so this is my story and I want you to serve justice because you are the Khalifa and you are in charge and yas'a alayhi salam is no more and he put you in charge, so this is your responsibility to take care of us. So the Khalifa said, okay, how about you come tomorrow in my court time and I will listen to your entire story and we will solve all the problems that you're having. So the old man left. But when it was time for the court, Iblis never showed up because he had no intentions of showing up. The Khalifa waited for him till the end of this court time, but Iblis never showed up. And then Khalifa was hoping that, okay, probably because Khalifa used to hold morning court and evening court. So he was neither showing up in the morning court nor in the evening court. But next day when Khalifa was trying to sleep because he has not slept for over 24 hours, he's going to take a nap, and again the Iblis started knocking on the door. So Khalifa opened the door and the Iblis showed up and the Khalifa said, why did you not come in the court? I had court last night, you didn't come to that. I had court this morning, you didn't come to that, and you're coming at this time. He said, oh, I wanted to come to you, but you know how unjust my relatives are? They locked me and they didn't let me come out, and you have no idea how I escaped. And again, he started crying his story and the whole 9 yards till the time of an hour or a couple hours he was constantly wasting until the time of the nap was over. And he said, okay, I will leave now. So Khalifa said, okay, how about you come tonight in the court and we will solve your problem in front of everybody. And Iblis said, oh, I'm so sorry I took so much of your time. And I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give you so much. And you are an awesome person. So Khalifa, of course, did not sleep another day. So now 48 hours have gone past. And Iblis did not even show up again in the morning or the evening court. And Khalifa kept waiting, and Iblis never showed up. So then came the third day. The third day morning, also he never showed up. So again, and in the afternoon nap time, the Khalifa is going to sleep. And again, there's a knock on the door. And this time, Khalifa ordered his guards, or whoever was the caretaker or servant, that today, it doesn't matter who comes, do not open the door. I have not slept for 2 days. I need to sleep today at least a little bit. So as there was a knock on the door, the servants or the guard, they stopped this old man and said, today you cannot enter. Nobody is allowed to enter. And Khalifa is taking the rest. So Iblis said, okay, I'm going to try something else. Iblis said, "Oh, you don't understand. I am in such a dire need. I have to see the Khalifa. And he himself has called me to come over. How can you stop somebody whose Khalifa wants to see himself?" So he started making all of those cries. But the servant said, the people in the household of this Khalifa said, "You cannot, because it's a strict order of Khalifa that today he doesn't want to see anybody during these times." But after a little while, Khalifa heard a knocking sound on the door of his room. And he was like, despite the fact I told everybody nobody should enter the house, who is knocking on my bedroom door? So he opened the door and there was this old man. So Khalifa looked at his family members and said, "Didn't I tell you that nobody should enter? And how did you allow anybody to enter today when I gave you very strict orders?" And then Khalifa, when he looked at this old man, said, "Oh, you are Iblis, right? You are enemy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala." And Iblis said, "Yes, I am Iblis. And I came to make you mad. I tried my level best. However, today I give up. First, I send other shayateen from my followers and offspring, but they failed miserably. So I said, I will take charge and I'll show you how I can make this person so mad that he will break one of the promises he made with yas'a alayhi salam. But unfortunately, I failed too." And do you know who was this Khalifa? This is the Khalifa whose name is zulkifl alayhi salam. And his name is mentioned in the two surahs that I mentioned to you, Surah Al-An'am and Surah Saad. This story is reported by Imam Mujahid rahimahullah. And some mufassirun have written this story in their books. But some ulama are of the opinion that we don't know if this could be written down as the seerah of Zulkifl alayhi salam or al-Yas'a alayhi salam. But since the story is reported in several different books, therefore I thought I will share this with you. And also Imam Suyuti rahimahullah talks about the story in Luqt al-Marjan fi Ahkam al-Jan, Hadith 567. And Ibn Abi Dunya talks about this story in his book Dhimm al-Ghadab. And Ibn Jarir, Ibn al-Mundhar, and Ibn Abi Hatim report this story from Abdullah bin Harith. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.